appreciate this bunch?
Yeah.
I know you do look better. Alright, I appreciate them, because here's what happens. We're on a weekday, right? It's Thursday. Most of us have worked, and it's been, all day long, and here it is Thursday night, and you come in here and you mind, sometimes, you're like me, or something, I got 1,000 things I'm thinking about, still running like 9-0, right? And them guys just kind of settle you down and quiet everything down and get you ready to, because I tell you what, I believe in this gospel so much. It said faith comes by hearing. Faith comes by hearing. I believe in this. I believe in this the way I believe in it because my life has been drastically changed by it. I didn't just go to church my whole life and decide that looked like a fun thing to do. I'm going to maybe be a preacher one day. I don't even call myself a preacher even now, really, or a pastor or whatever. I don't know about any of that. I just know that I went to church my whole life, and just being in church didn't change my life. Just reading this Bible didn't change my life. Come on, listening to Christian music didn't change my life. None of that changed my life until I got a revelation of what this gospel really is. That it's not just about praying a prayer and yeah, you're a sinner and Jesus came and died on the cross and, you believe that you can go to heaven one day. We've made it about that. It's like a heaven or hell issue. If you don't believe in Jesus, you're going to hell. So all you got to do is believe in Jesus, repeat after me. Well, who in the world wouldn't? Who in the world wouldn't go along with that, right? Well, tell me what to say, I'll say it. And you can do all that and then still go through life defeated and whooped and not even know God.
Amen.
Amen.
I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in knowing God, and this is what's changed me. If you've known me for very long, or I don't know, some of you know me. My dad's here. He's known me my whole life. You can ask him how changed I am. And that's why I believe in this so much. It's how changed I am. It's like to me now, born again is not praying a prayer and I'm going to go to heaven one day. To me now, born again is I became a completely different species than I was when I was born the first time. Not the same. I'm not even close to the same. I'm not even what I was. I'm a different, do you get that? Different species. I was born a pig, and I didn't just get to be a clean pig now. I'm now a sheep. You see what I mean? Totally different deal. I'm not just a washed up, cleaned up, shined up pig. Still a pig, but not as nutty as I was. That's what religion has reduced it down to. I'm not even the same creature that I was. And so what's happened is we've gotten born again, and we've prayed the prayer, and we've spent a lot of time studying and going to church and all this stuff, but we've really never went through a change of thinking like we're completely different than we were. It's like we got to have a whole different way of thinking now. We've stayed the same. I'm not saying that in a condemning way. Don't be condemned. Just we didn't know any better. We were doing the best we knew to do. Doing with what we had. We were walking in the light we were in. But it's like, what a waste. What a waste to just stay the same. Switch addictions. Really, it's all we did.
That's good. That's good.
It's just so life-changing to see the real gospel and what God really thinks of us. And just, I'm telling you, it's just completely, it makes, I got about 10 different ways I feel like going, so I don't know what to do, but let's just have a little Bible study, want to. There's so much of this right here that I'll surely fall into the right track along the way somewhere, all right? I don't have no bulletin.
No spirit killer?
No, that's right. So you don't know what track I'm on, you don't know if I got off track, right? Listen to this. This is so good. Listen to this. This is checkmate right here to me. This ends all debates, all right? This is 2 Corinthians 3. And I don't even have a good place to get in, so I'm just going to... I'm going to start in verse 4. 2 Corinthians 3, I'm going to start in verse 4. Alright, listen to this. Such confidence we have through Christ toward God. Not that we are adequate in ourselves to consider anything as coming from ourselves, but our adequacy is from God, who also made us adequate as servants of a new covenant, not of the letter, that's the law, not of the letter, but of the Spirit. For the letter kills, that's the law, it's talking about the law, I'll show you in a minute, but the Spirit gives life. But if the ministry of death in letters engraved on stones, what was written on stones?
Ten Commandments.
What?
Ten Commandments.
Say it loud enough, everybody in here knows it.
Ten Commandments.
Written on stones, right? The Ten Commandments, the Old Covenant, right? So he's saying the letter, the Old Covenant, the law, the Ten Commandments, administrated by Moses, kills, the letter kills. And he says if the ministry of death in letters engraved on stones came with glory, so that the sons of Israel could not look intently at the face of Moses because of the glory of his face fading as it was, how will the ministry of the Spirit fail to be even more with glory? For if the ministry of condemnation, he's still talking about the law, if the ministry of condemnation has glory, much more does the ministry of righteousness abound in glory. For indeed what had glory, in this case has no glory, because of the glory that surpasses it. In other words, the law appeared to have glory, but when the Spirit came, the real gospel came, what you thought had glory, really now comparably doesn't even have any glory.
Amen.
For if that which fades away was with glory, much more that which remains is in glory. Therefore, having such a hope, we use great boldness in our speech, and are not like Moses, who used to put a veil over his face so that the sons of Israel would not look intently at the end of what was fading away. But their minds were hardened, for until this very day at the reading of the Old Covenant, the same veil remains unlifted because it is removed in Christ. But to this day, whenever Moses is read. But to this day, whenever Moses is read. But to this day, whenever Moses is read, a veil lies over their heart. They say, I used to think, see, Moses came down the mountain with the Ten Commandments and his face was glowing, right? Because of the glory of being with God. And he had to put a veil over his face. I thought it was because it was so bright and glorious that people couldn't even look at him. That's not the case. I thought that's the way I thought all along. That's not the case. The reason he had the veil over it is so they couldn't see that it was actually fading off, fading away. They didn't see that the glory was fading, right? So but to this day, whenever Moses read, you know, I said earlier the gospel's good news and it's worth being happy over. I got to confess a little bit. I have seen the gospel make people mad. The way that it makes people mad is they're mad because it took them so long to see it. They say, how could I have been in church my whole life? How could I have read this Bible my whole life and I didn't see this before?
Amen.
Is anybody here? You know what I'm talking about? If you don't know, if you haven't experienced the difference yet, you're just sitting there thinking, what in the world is he talking about? If that's you, if you're sitting there thinking of that, then listen up. I got good news for you. Tonight will be a good night for you to get mad. I'm smiling. I said the truth will make you free, but first it will make you mad. In order for you to receive the truth, you got to realize that what you had before may not be. And so that some people ain't willing to do that. Okay, here we go. That wasn't the right track. I say, this is the answer to why we can say, I was in church my whole life and I didn't see this. Paul's saying right here, anywhere that the law is still read, he's not saying you can't read the Old Testament. I've been accused of that. That's not what I'm saying. He's saying anywhere the law is read, anywhere they're still implementing the covenant that Moses was the administrator of, anywhere people are still mixing the law, anywhere people are still reading the law, anywhere people are still putting the law on you, it automatically pulls a veil over your face and you can't see clearly. Why do you think Jesus spent so much time healing the blind? This is a big issue for him. I think he did all this stuff in the physical, but I think it has a spiritual representation. He spent a lot of time healing the blind. He spent a lot of time giving people sight. Even in his inaugural day when he showed up, he read, he said, "The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me," right? He said, "Preach the gospel to the poor, and give, recovery of sight to the blind." I think this is part of what he's getting at, because we've been blinded because of the law. And here, 2,000 and some years down the road from the cross, this is why I get in trouble. The majority of what we still hear is laced, even undercover law.
Right.
And we wonder why we're blinded, and we wonder why we don't see clearly, and we wonder why the world's just religious and we haven't become who we're supposed to become. Come on, we're the sons of God.
Amen.
Made the likeness and the image of God. The world, the earth, should look different than it looks because we've been restored for 2,000 years. What's the problem? We still don't see. We've still got a veil over our eyes. We're not seeing clearly. We're not seeing who He is clearly. We're not seeing His will clearly. And because we're not seeing Him clearly, we're not even seeing ourselves clearly. This is why I go about this with this kind of passion. This is why I stand in the face of opposition, and everybody in the world that's still religious is talking bad about us and me. I don't care. You can tell I back up off of it, right? I'm saying I'm not backing up. I understand what Paul means right here. When we speak boldly about this, I know what I'm talking about because I'm not sharing with you something that I heard somebody else teach me. I'm sharing this stuff. You see how many notes I got and how scattered and all over the place I usually am. It's because I'm just vomiting all this stuff up that He's doing in me all the time. And somehow you guys are living in the same place I am. And it's real.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm telling you what's life-changing right here. Not pretend change. I'm talking about real change. Where you wake up in the day and you don't even recognize yourself in the mirror any longer. I've had it with this religious mess where, 5 years down the road, you don't know anything more about God or yourself.
Right.
Amen.
Right. No change.
What? How sad.
Right, Jason.
How sad. As they're criticizing us, I'm crying for them. 10 years down the road, you're no further along, you have no growth, you have changed none whatsoever. You know nothing more about God than you did 10 years ago. I'm trying not to be mean. It's just true. I was there. I'm getting someplace, all right? All right, so, but to this day, whenever Moses is read, a veil lies over their heart. But whenever a person turns to the Lord, the veil is taken away. Does anybody in here know what that's about?
Yes.
That was a good day, huh? I'm not talking about you went to the front and cried and said some prayer. I'm talking about the day your eyes were opened and you finally saw what the real gospel is, and you now understand what grace is, and that the gift of righteousness really is a gift, and that His love really is unconditional, and you don't have to earn it, you don't have to prove it, you don't have to deserve it, you just have to get your hard-headed religious self out of the way and receive it.
Amen.
That's it.
Now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. But we all, here's where I'm getting to. I just read all that, that's all good, but I read it because there wasn't no place to get in because I wanted to get to this right. But we all, with unveiled face, beholding as in a mirror the glory of the Lord, Now we can read over that, and I have along everybody. This is. Now we can read over that. Beholding, I want you to get this. Beholding as in a mirror the glory of the Lord. But we all, not just a few chosen ones, or the certain ones, or the leadership, or the one with the mic, but we all. Does everybody see that it says that?
Yep.
No hierarchy. There's no some more qualified than others, but we all. It says that in my Bible. But we all, with unveiled face, beholding as in a mirror the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from glory to glory, just as from the Lord, the Spirit. Now you think about this. If you look in a mirror, who do you see? You see yourself. Right?
Right.
That's simple enough, right? You look in a mirror, you see yourself, right? Beholding as in a mirror the glory of the Lord. Beholding as in a mirror the glory of the Lord. See, the gospel is this. It's not that just He came down. He came down for the purpose of bringing me back up.
Good.
That's right.
Right.
He didn't just come down because I was a loser and I was a sinner and wasn't worth anything. Why would somebody pay a high price for that?
Good.
He came and paid a high price because of our value, not because of our sin.
Right.
Yes, He had to die because of the sin, but it's not why He came.
Right.
He wouldn't have came if there wasn't value.
Right.
The value is He put us back up to the place that we were originally supposed to be. Oh boy. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to squirm, but you're just going to have to take it. He put us back up to the place that we were originally created to be. You ready for this? Equals.
Yeah.
Praise God.
That's right.
What it said.
Take my yoke upon you. Didn't He say that?
That's right.
Take my yoke upon you. Didn't He say, don't be unequally yoked?
That's what He
That's
said.
right.
Good, Jason.
Equal.
Beholding as in a mirror the glory of the Lord. As we're beholding that, we are being transformed into that same image.
Amen.
As we're beholding, I'm looking at Him as in a mirror. I'm seeing Him, I'm seeing myself, and as I'm seeing myself in Him, as I'm seeing Himself in me, I'm being transformed into the same image.
Right. That's right.
Now this just trumps everything. This is checkmate on all the arguments. You could say, well now, we don't believe in that prosperity gospel. We don't believe in that absolute victory. We don't believe in just total healing and all this stuff. Well, if it's the gospel that I'm being transformed into the same image as Him and equals as Him and becoming like Him, is He cursed? Is He broke?
No.
Is He in poverty?
No.
Is He sick?
No.
Or is He have disease?
No.
I wonder what I'm being transformed into.
Good, Jason.
Now listen. We're having Bible study, right? It happens as I start to see it.
Yeah.
Your life will not go higher than your revelation.
Amen. That's right.
The Bible said where there's no vision,
Right.
people perish.
That's right.
It matters what you see, what you're looking at. I'm looking at Him in the mirror. I'm seeing Him in me. I'm seeing me in Him. I don't know. I can't even wrap my mind around that other than that's what it says. And by that, I'm being transformed. and glory's on me, and I'm in the same image as Him. I'm His son, and you know, you see how that's, so we got to see that. We got to see that. To me, that's what faith is. It's what I see with my eyes closed. It's what I'm believing. It's what I know about Him and me, and just being changed into that. You with me? So it's my perspective has changed now. My way of thinking, my mindset, it's all changed now because of the truth of who He is and who He says I am, and how He's changed me. So you can be born again, you can go to church 9 times a week, you can know the words to every song, you can read this Bible front to back every year, you can spend an hour every morning praying. Still not be changed.
It's true. It's true.
Because we never saw the truth. I'm telling you, it's so big. It's big to Him. What we see. How we see. What we see with our eyes closed. It was so big, Jesus went everywhere healing the blind. It's like you could see it everywhere. He said, you know, he taught one time. I ain't read it, so I'm not going to teach on it. I ain't read it recently, like this week or nothing. But, you know, he talked about the eye being single. The eye being single. He's only looking one way. I'm only gathering my truth from one place. I'm not getting all these opinions and letting life speak louder than truth, and what everybody else is doing declares who I am or how I am. I'm not looking at none of that. I'm not letting failures define truth for me. I'm not letting what we missed or where we went wrong. I'm not letting it, or they didn't get this, or that didn't happen for them, or this victory was. I don't know. I hate that happens. I'm sorry that stuff happens. I wish, but it happens. We're not all the way there yet, but that still does not speak louder in my life than truth.
Right.
Amen.
It's got to be what we see. It's like my life now. Jesus is my standard.
Amen.
There you go.
I hear people say all the time, well, now what about Paul and his thorn? Now, you know, what about Peter and all this stuff? Well, I honor those guys. I appreciate them. I can't wait to meet them, shake hands with them, tell them how much their words have changed my life. I honor them to the utmost honor. But they're not my goal.
That's right.
Amen.
They're on the same path that I'm on. To keep my eyes on Him and becoming equals and becoming transformed into the same image and the same glory. And as I can get my eyes single and see that He's mine. I know it preaches good when I talk about healing and power and victory and all this stuff, right? But what about character and not being offended when done wrong, and all these attributes of God that are present in heaven? How about now? It ain't just healing. I want to be healed totally. I mean, I can look at the life of Jesus and the way, you know, people... I'm just telling you, it's important what we see. You can see, I've shared this before, but, you know, here comes Moses, right? Moses was defeated and out in the desert hiding for 40 years, and God comes to him and He said, I want you to go down there to Egypt and I'm going to set my people free, right? You guys know the story. I've been on it 100 times. I love it. And so, you know, God says, I want you, Moses, to go down to the most powerful nation, if you will, or most powerful man in the world, ruler of the world at the time, and I want you to tell him that those slaves that he has, millions of slaves that they've had up under control for 400 years, I want you to march down there and tell him to let them go. You know, so Moses like, said he stutter? I can't even talk. You can't send me, right? God said this, Moses, this might be Exodus 12 or somewhere in there. Moses, see that I've made you a God to Pharaoh. Here's how it's going to happen, Moses. Yeah, it sounds like the impossible. You just up here watching sheep, you're condemned, you murdered a man, you're guilty, you feel like your life is over. He's 80 years old by this time. You think your life is over. It sounds impossible what I'm sending you to do. But here's how I'm going to enable you to do it. Change what you see. I want you to see that I've made you a God. And he tells Abraham, he said, I want you to leave your home country and go down to a country and I'll show you when you get there. I was like, whoa, okay. Takes all his stuff, goes, and he starts traveling and gets up on this hill, and God said this, Abraham, everything that you can see, he's standing up on a hill, a high mountain, I imagine he can see a long way. He said, everything that you can see is yours. Well, my cowboy logic would say, if you can't see it, you ain't getting it. Come on, what's he saying? It's all throughout the whole thing. Jesus healing the blind. Jesus taking the veil off of our eyes. That's what he's talking about. The veil's removed when you come out from under the law so that you can see in the mirror clearly. You can see who he really is and you can see who you really are.
Amen.
You got to see this. You can see yourself healed and you'll live healthy. You can see yourself blessed. I'm telling you, my whole mindset, everything. I'm telling you, I went through life like everything I tried to do, I was carrying an anvil. Struggle. Try harder. Man, am I ever going to get break? Man, if it wasn't for bad luck, I wouldn't have no, you know? You hear me? Not no more. You don't hear that out of me no more. It's going my way. Hey, I done found out God's for me.
That's right.
He's on my side. I'm his pride and joy. He said I have access, free access to the tree of life. I can march right into the gates of heaven anytime I want, get anything that I need. Oh, that makes some people squirm, but I'm telling you, it's changed my life. I believe in total victory. And because I believe in it, doesn't necessarily, Paul said it right there, doesn't mean we've attained it yet. But because I believe in it, I'm closer than I used to be. I'm on my way. I'm at least on the road to get there.
That's right.
I didn't used to believe in victory at all. I believed that, well, we might as well suffer.